but then left. So, let's see here. All right. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to the Omni Coalition. Actually, Weird Weekly Recap. Sorry, it's not the Omni Coalition news show anymore. It's Weird Weekly Recap. Yeah.
Weird is right.
Yeah. And actually, I don't have my base script up. I'm completely unprepared. But yeah, this show is a dive into the weird, odd, obscure, and bizarre. Other words for strange world of notable events, weather, and sports. I am Xander. Who am I joined by?
Golden Loon.
Yeah, and of course, UBRRU. Today is Freya's Day, aka Friday, November 29, 2024. So let's jump into the news today, shall we? Starting off from Oddity Central, we have a Japanese man has been relying on strangers to let him sleep over for the last 5 years. Wow. Can anyone say...
How do they pull that off?
Yeah, well, he's like a professional, what are they called?
Sleep on your couch guy?
Well, no, like what a squatter. Squatter. Yeah, a 33-year-old Japanese man has been getting a lot of attention for his quote-unquote ingenious way of putting a roof over his head, asking total strangers to let him sleep over. Yeah, that's, one of these days he's going to go into a stranger who's a mass murderer. Sure enough, Ishida has slept in over 500 different homes over the last 5 years. After quitting his job, he decided to sell all his belongings except for a few essentials that fit into his backpack and travel around Japan using his savings. Normally, accommodation would have ranked highest on his list of expenses, but the 33-year-old man had found, a way of putting a roof over his head for free. Every day, Ishida stands in crowded areas, sometimes for hours at a time, holding up a sign that reads, "Please let me stay over tonight." As weird as it sounds, he almost always finds someone willing to take him in, mostly lonely homeowners in need of someone to talk to.
Wow.
Yeah, this is just,
I don't know who's... I say the homeowner's the pathetic one.
Yeah, well...
You need someone to talk to? Come on.
Yeah.
Can't do better than that?
And you don't know if this guy's some kind of, creep
yeah, well, that's the other thing.
Like, he has no home, he has no belongings, he travels all the place. What a perfect setup for a killer, So, anyway, what else do we got here? London startup launches world's first AI-powered knee airbag. An airbag for the knee,
I wonder how that works, or what's the benny of it?
Well, it says ligament tears occur about 60 milliseconds, but a startup claims to have created a knee airbag that inflates in just 30 milliseconds, enough to prevent ACL and MCL injuries. Oh, okay, so it's good for football play. Can you imagine football players wearing all of a sudden, on their knee? That'd be so weird. Hippos, a startup founded by Kailan Shaw and Bavi Medicare, because hippos are surely known for their knees, recently raised a $642,000 pre-seed round from investors, Possible Ventures, and Silicon Roundabout Ventures for their revolutionary knee sleeve, a sort of high-tech airbag for the knee that uses sensors to rapidly detect incoming stress and deploy tiny air canisters that fill up small airbags around the knee, thus preventing critical injuries. It only takes 30 milliseconds for the knee airbag to inflate, considerably faster than the 60 milliseconds that ACL injuries typically occur in. If the device works as presented by the company, it could save athletes thousands of dollars in medical expenses and much more in inactivity.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But I'm sorry, I've never thought a hippo, never thought about his knees.
I know, right? So we have a...
Well, for athletes, especially football, but even basketball.
Yeah,
unless it inhibits your running or something.
Well, you're putting a device clamped tightly over the knee.
That's what I mean.
Does
it affect your mobility? Soccer players, everybody, baseball, for sliding.
Yeah, I'm trying to fast forward this video to see if they have a demonstration.
Across 4,000 tests conducted with professional athletes.
False positive.
Yeah, no, it's not showing me an example, but
it's pretty hard to see it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's say I have slow motion, but I just want to see what it looks like after,
Yeah.
Are just going to be little puffs, or are we comedically sized huge airbags?
Small puffs.
Yeah.
It said somewhere about small puffs.
I mean, that reminds me, there's this one scene, the series Speed Racer.
Yeah.
Racer airbags. Well, they have a whole, in the action movie, they made a live action movie out of it. I went and saw it with a former friend, and I was high as all hell, and all the colors, were just fantastic. But basically, there's this like in this movie, the airbag system, I'm trying to see. Okay, it's not demonstrating it here. But yeah, I'm not going to find it. But like anyway, like in this movie, like the airbags completely surround you, and you're in like this this thing.
That's a bubble.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh well, I'm not going to find it. Anyway, moving on up. Former motorcycle racing star has been traveling the world barefoot for 6 years.
Jeez.
Okay. Axel Pons, formerly a competitor in the Moto2 World Championship, changed up his lifestyle dramatically 6 years ago when he decided to travel the world barefoot. Son of the legendary Cito Pons, never heard of him, two-time MotoGP winner Axel Pons had a lot to live up to early in his career as a motorcycle racer. Expectations were very high, but so was the pressure on his shoulders. And despite some promising results in the Moto2 World Championship, a 16th place finish in the 2016 season being the apex of his racing career. That's really low.
No, not for.
Yeah.
That's you were number 16 in the nation for the racing season.
Yeah. Well,
that's pretty darn good.
Well, it's better than me, but
Unless
still,
it's out of 17.
You're not number one. You're not number two.
No.
You're not even number three.
You're not
so
in the top 10.
For all I care about, he doesn't even exist. So nobody cares about second place. So he decided to take a break from motorcycle racing and focus on fashion. He did some work as a fashion model, then disappeared only to resurface in 2019 due to an interview with Spanish newspaper El País, in which he said he wanted to slow down and put his past life behind him. But no one expected the kind of change that was coming. So he's been going around. Wow, look at that dramatic difference.
Yeah.
So he turned into a hippie.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What else do we have? Japanese company to launch human washing machine. Well, showers already exist.
Yeah.
Bathtubs.
Yeah.
Backyard hose spritzes.
Just gonna say a hose.
Yeah. Like what are they trying to do?
What is this?
Osaka-based showerhead maker Science Company has developed a cutting-edge washing machine for humans, aptly named Mirai Ningen Senkadukui, human washing machine of the future. Once again, showers exist.
But how does this work? I mean, a washing machine spins and scrubs and what?
Well, I hope it doesn't have a spin cycle.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
At the 1970 Osaka Kansai Expo, Japanese tech giant Sanyo Electric Company, now Panasonic Holdings Corp., because it's talking about something from 1970, launched the world's first ever human washing machine. Its futuristic egg shape and bubble technology captured people's imagination and drew huge crowds to the manufacturer's booth. Yasukai Aoyama was one of the many people who got to see Sanyo's washing machine in action. He was only a curious fourth grader at the time, but the feeling of awe struck him all through adulthood. And today, as the chairman of Science Company, a company specializing in bathtubs and showerheads, he's preparing to launch his very own modern washing machine for humans. So this has to be the 1970s one, because that looks old as hell. Yeah. I'm trying to see.
Osaka no Panasonic
is there a demonstration? Okay, here we go.
人間洗濯機です。
Of course, they use
係流から乾燥まで全て機械が自動的にいたします。
Okay,
三輪電機の創業者で。
Okay, how does it wash? How does it wash your butt that's touching the seat? How does it wash
a shower, thank you very much.
Like and you need handles. You need all that.
You need to hold on.
Yeah, like does it get up and spin? Is it a centrifuge? Is it a gyro? Like, so all it does is fill up with soapy water. Like, okay, hold on a second.
No agitation?
Let's see here. I've seen this before. I'm just seeing. Okay, so it's just a jacuzzi bath, essentially.
Like, I think it's just an attention getter.
This is so stupid.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, sometimes Japan actually invents something worthwhile, but this is the stupidest thing I've seen in quite some time. Especially somebody, who's like been obsessed with this, and he's the head of a showerhead and bathtub company. And this is stupid. Anyway, moving on up. Man bleeds to death after being scratched by beloved pet cat. A middle-aged Russian man suffering from diabetes and poor blood clotting tragically lost his life after being scratched on the leg by his pet cat. Like you nicked yourself yesterday carving the turkey, and on your blood thinners,
Yeah.
You're bleeding like a sieve.
Well, it wasn't as bad as I thought.
Yeah, still. November 22nd, Dmitry Ukin, a 55-year-old man from the Kirishi district in Russia's Leningrad region, went looking for his pet cat, Steopika, around the neighborhood. The feline had an independent streak and liked nothing more than to walk around the neighborhood freely. Eyewitnesses later told police that Ukrin found the beloved pet and took it home with him. He couldn't really explain why or how the cat scratched his leg so badly that he bled to death in a matter of minutes.
Wow.
Minutes.
Whoa, what?
Wow.
Jeez.
So clearly the cat wanted to be free and it killed him. So,
If you're going to bleed a head, wouldn't you put a tourniquet on it or something?
well, I don't know.
Better to lose a leg than your life.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, cats are living creatures just like us, and he has no right at all to own another creature. So I'm gonna go on the side of the cat here. Serves him right for practicing interspecies prejudice. So anyway, new world's largest office building surpasses the Pentagon, and the Pentagon, at least up until the claiming of this article, is the largest office building in the world. Like
didn't know that.
but yeah, it's as far as square footage and all that stuff, and so the newly opened Surat Diamond Bourse in Gujarat, India, is a massive office complex made up of 9 rectangular buildings interconnected through a central spine. For 80 years, the Pentagon held the title of the world's largest building, but it was recently dethroned by the Surat Diamond Bourse, a massive diamond cutting and trading hub that exceeds the Pentagon's area of 66,073,624 square feet. They missed a number here. So,
But that doesn't look like one solid building. That
It's
looks
not.
like a lot of independent buildings.
well, technically, the Pentagon is a bunch of independent buildings connected,
Yeah.
with. But that's what it just said. Like, it's a massive office complex made up of 9 rectangular buildings interconnected through a central spine.
Yeah,
So these
that
are all
spine is the
that
only thing that
spine.
connects them.
Yes. Well, the Pentagon is more or less the same thing. But look at that parking structure. That's pretty cool. Like, I think that's the parking structure.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, the sprawling 15-story complex covers more than 35 acres of land on the outskirts of Surat in India's Gujarat state and features over 4,700 office spaces and workshops, as well as 131 large elevators that make traveling between the 9 buildings of the Surat Diamond Bourse a breeze. Interestingly, surpassing the Pentagon was never the plan. Instead, Indian architecture firm Morphogenesis just struggled to meet the huge demand for space. So they just so happened they weren't.
Yeah, they weren't going for something.
At least they say.
Yeah.
But it's like a Pentagon. So let's see here, images. The Pentagon. So if you look at the Pentagon,
Yeah, it's all.
they're all separate buildings, but they're connected with these spines here. But if you really take it apart,
Yeah.
each of these buildings are their own separate building because they're not connected.
Yeah. Yeah, that's okay. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on up, robot dog becomes the first robot to complete a full marathon on a single charge. Okay. So batteries are getting better.
Better, yeah.
Okay, whoop-de-doo. Liabo 2, a quadruped robot developed in South Korea, has become the first robot to ever complete a full marathon in a single charge after running the 42.195-kilometer Sangju Dried Paris-Monon Marathon. Developed by Professor Huango Chimin and his team at the Korea Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, Liabo 2 is an advanced quadruped robot designed with a focus on endurance. It recently became the first robot to run a full marathon after completing the 22nd Sangju Dried Paris-Monon Marathon in Sangju, South Korea, with a respectable time of 4 hours, 19 minutes, and 52 seconds on a single charge. The 42-kilogram robot had to navigate difficult terrain, including 2 relatively steep hills, gauge its distance from the other runners, and maintain course, all the while mitigating power consumption to ensure it reached the finish line. That's pretty cool.
I have to assume then there is no solar panels to assist it.
Well, it doesn't look like it, and if they are, they're so small we can't really recognize them as such.
Yeah.
But okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
So yeah. Pomeranian dog miraculously survives 9-story fall with no injuries.
What?
Whoa.
Wow, I could see maybe a cat doing that, but a dog?
Oh, well, it looks like it
Didn't
fell
like
through
he
the
landed
roof.
on his head.
Well, Look at that. Look at the hole it made. So, on November 19th, a Colombian family experienced moments of terror after realizing that their pet Pomeranian was nowhere to be found in their 12th floor apartment in the city of Cali, not California. They looked everywhere for him, and when it became clear that he was not in the house, they decided to check the windows, and that's when they spotted a small hole in the roof of an adjacent building, 3 floors below.
Jeez.
Using a pair of binoculars, the desperate dog owners could spot their beloved pet through the small hole. The floor that Paris had been spotted on was locked, so the owners immediately called the local fire department to have the dog rescued. Miraculously, he was found alive and well, with not so much as a scratch on him. Wow.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Well, dogs are demons. So, man believed to have drowned in Wisconsin lake faked his death and eloped to Eastern Europe. One of these.
Why would you want to go to Eastern Europe?
Well, to completely avoid detection.
I guess.
Nobody's going to look for you in an area where they don't think you're going to go.
Yeah, well, it didn't work apparently.
Well, a Wisconsin man who had been missing since August after going kayaking on Green Lake recently resurfaced to confess to faking his death and moving to Eastern Europe. On August 12th, the tranquility of the town of Waterton, Wisconsin, was shattered by the disappearance of Ryan Borgward, a 44-year-old husband and father of 3. Wow, he just ditched his family. What an asshole. Borgward had gone on a short kayaking trip on Green Lake, but disappeared completely, and an emergency search found his capsized kayak on the lake and his vehicle and trailer in a nearby park, suggesting that he had fallen in the lake and drowned. A day later, local fishermen found Ryan's fishing rod and then a tackle box containing his belongings. All the signs pointed to Bogwart's accidental demise, but then one day, during the investigation that followed, local law enforcement found evidence that suggested Ryan had crossed into Canada, and border authorities there confirmed that they had indeed run his passport a day after his disappearance. It was this discovery that led to the uncovering of Ryan Borgard's elaborate plan to fake his death and leave his family behind. What a piece of shit.
No kidding.
Wow.
And you cross the border and use your ID. Yeah,
Well,
that's stupid.
There's no way to do so without some kind of
I
ID.
understand that, unless you sneak across.
Well, yeah, then you have a risk of getting shot.
No, not going across Canada. That's pretty open border up there.
Well,
I mean,
the guy
on
is
foot, but
the guy is white. They do hate white people up there, you know. So I mean, they hate white people down here
he's a
too.
piece of
So
crap.
yeah, I mean, look at him. He
Oh,
looks like a
yeah.
piece of shit. So. Moving on up, a blogger pranks Russian teachers to make their own satellite protection tinfoil hats. A Belarusian blogger managed to convince dozens of Russian teachers to make and wear tinfoil hats as means of protection against radiation from NATO satellites. Oh my god. They think they're under attack. Vladislav Bokan, a Belarusian blogger and activist known for his elaborate pranks, made headlines earlier this month when he released several photos of dozens of Russian teachers wearing tinfoil hats decorated with the Russian flag. He reportedly contacted multiple schools in Russia's Voronezh region, introducing himself as an official from the local branch of United Russia, the country's ruling party, and ordered them to hold a patriotic master class called Helmet to the Fatherland. Or of the fatherland, which is weird because they're supposed to be the motherland, right? Like,
Yeah, I guess.
because it's Germany that calls Deutschland the fatherland. So, Boken demanded that teachers working at these schools make tinfoil hats to, quote, demonstrate their readiness to protect themselves from radiation from NATO satellites, end quote. And to his surprise, 7 of the schools that he contacted actually followed his instructions without question. Wow. And these people are teachers.
Yeah.
You know, they're so stupid that they can't do 5 seconds of basic research and looking up to back up and validate. Oh, yes, master. Orders. Yes, sir. You know, okay. Well, they should all be disbarred from teaching, or whatever it is that the equivalent of disbarring is for teachers. They should never be allowed anywhere near a school, anywhere near a child, anywhere near anybody seeking education. These people should be banished. They're that stupid. Wow. Absolutely pathetic. Moving on up, more from Audio Central here. Crypto investor buries treasure chests worth of millions, challenges anyone to find them. I bet it's all a lie. You know, very much like cryptocurrency, it's all fake bullshit. An entrepreneur and early crypto investor recently announced a public treasure hunt for 5 different treasure chests containing valuable items allegedly worth around $2 million. Each or in total. Like, that's what I want to know.
Sounds like to me in total. Valued at.
John Collins Black once dreamed of finding valuable treasure, but he managed to become rich by investing in Bitcoin early, so he has spent the last 5 years planning an epic treasure hunt for other treasure hunters. During the Kung Flu pandemic, the crypto investor started acquiring a collection of valuable items to fill 5 different treasure chests before burying them at undisclosed locations across the U.S. None of the chests are on private property, so technically anyone can find them. Although Collins back points out that you need to follow a series of clues and have a sharp mind in order to find even one of the chests. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that they're all fake. Like, you know, because what's the first thing that people do when they're rich? They get bored and they start thinking of ways to fuck with the poor people. You know, so yeah, I'll bet my bottom dollar that this is all a giant lie. So moving on up. Family spends over $4,500 on lavish funeral for faithful SUV. Wow.
What?
Wow. And you thought I was crazy with the cars. These people literally buried, look, there's a hole right there. They buried their freaking car. They covered it in honors and they buried their car. And, you know, an Indian family recently went viral for their decision to send their old Suzuki wagon to the grave rather than the scrapyard in a lavish burial ceremony attended by around 1,500 people. What the hell? They say you shouldn't get too attached to material possessions, but try telling that to the Palara family in Padrachika village in Gujarat, who recently said goodbye to their 18-year-old Suzuki Wagon R by laying it to rest in a lavish burial ceremony attended by 1,500 locals. The Palara believed the popular hatchback to be their lucky car, so they wanted to say goodbye to it properly, rather than abandoning it at a scrapyard after nearly 2 decades of faithful service. Poor MD. Patriarch Sanjay Palara told reporters that he owns several more expensive cars, including an Audi, but credits the old Wagon R for being instrumental in achieving prosperity for his family, so he wanted to do something special for it. Once again, you know, well, I don't know. I mean, he's gone too far, and I don't think I went far enough. But at the end of the day, I didn't have the money, so I don't have to say. But I would have given MD a burial, you know. Like that car, that SUV of ours was a real workhorse and deserved a lot better than, you know, just getting kicked out. So. Anyway. Designer store replaced mannequins with live models on treadmills. I like this idea. Like, you know, well, you know, I've been talking, like, you know, with the advent and, you know, advancement of AI and robotics technologies, human jobs are becoming less and less and less.
Yeah.
Well, now you can get a human job getting exercise and wearing fashion, working as a live mannequin. That'd be great. I'd love to do that. You know? Get some exercise, you know, get paid to just stand there and walk, you know. A popular Chinese clothing store sparked controversy by showcasing its products on female models walking on treadmills rather than old-fashioned mannequins. Well, hey, now you can demonstrate what the clothes look like while moving, you know? Like...
Well, it also is attention getter. People stop and look, and maybe they'll come in and shop.
Yeah, but also, like, you know, you don't know how clothes are going to fall on you, how they're going to work while walking. You know, you might get this one skirt because it looks good, but then it might be too tight or something. If you can see it being demonstrated, not only what it looks like, but how it operates, you know, in motion, like, this is actually a really good idea. You can say the marketing team at Chinese designer brand store ITIB was thinking outside the box when it decided to replace plastic mannequins with live models walking on small treadmills. The official explanation was that the new way of displaying garments really allowed customers to see how they fit when moving rather than in a stationary position. What did I just say? Like, but few doubted that it was just an ingenious gimmick meant to draw attention. The plan worked.
What did I just say?
Well, the plan worked perfectly as videos of the young models mounted on small pedestals outside ITIB flagship store in Hangzhou spread like wildfire on social media, while crowds of people gathered to watch them walk on their little treadmills. However, what designer collective brand probably didn't anticipate was a wave of criticism regarding the dehumanization and exploitation of the young models. Dude, they decided to did they go up to the models and put a gun to their head? No.
Paid.
So, but yeah, this is actually a really smart idea. Look at that. That is actually really cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Not a bad idea.
It kind of looks like a stationary catwalk, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like it's a mini fashion show all day long. Like, and see the difference is, unlike mannequins, because you can't it's a whole process to dress a mannequin, set it up, take it down, redress it. Well, you can have them shift after an hour, have somebody else come out wearing something else, and then boom, done. Like, and then the other person goes and changes, takes a break, and then comes back out the next hour. That's actually really, 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 really smart.
Expensive but smart.
Well, at least it's giving jobs to humans. That's all I care about. So, smart mouthpiece turns your smartphone into a playable musical instrument. What? The Zafiro is a clever little MIDI controller that plugs into the USB-C port of your smartphone, essentially turning it into a playable musical instrument. Well, as long as that port is still there. I mean, what's stopping Apple from just outright taking that port out? They already did that with the audio jack. Developed by Italian startup Art Noise, the Zafiro is one of the most ingenious gadgets we've seen in quite a while. The small, colorful mouthpiece may look like a vape, but it's actually a lot more than that. Well, is it a vape too?
No, it looks like a vape.
Yeah. Well, but it's actually a lot more than that. That implies that it is a vape and more. Anyway, it's a MIDI controller that plugs into your smartphone's charge port and relies on an app to turn the handheld into a variety of playable instruments, from the humble flute to violins and even fantasy sounds. Equipped with lip sensors and an air pressure sensor, the Zafiro sends breath power data directly to the dedicated app, which is then used to adjust the volume, length, and harmonics of the sound. Keys or air holes are displayed on the screen of the smartphone, so you can effectively play the instrument with your fingers as you blow into the mouthpiece. Well, they have a video here. That's from a smartphone. Wow.
Introducing Zafiro, the tiny device that transforms your smartphone into a musical experience. Lightweight, affordable, and incredibly easy to use, Zafiro is designed for everyone, beginners and pros alike. Just plug it into your smartphone
Yeah,
via...
I want to see a whole commercial. I want to see it being played.
Yeah.
So, all right. Anyway, a woman who heard animal noises from under her house had naked man living there. And pardon me, I need to blow my nose. Sorry about that. When you gotta sneeze, you gotta sneeze. So, an elderly Californian woman who thought the noises coming from beneath her home were made by animals was shocked to find a naked man living under her house. What the hell?
That's weird. And why is he naked?
93-year-old woman from Los Angeles' El Sereno neighborhood recently got the shock of her life after realizing that the bizarre noises she had begun to hear from beneath her home over the last few weeks were not made by animals, but by a man who had settled there. The woman and her family usually heard strange noises under the house during the night, so they assumed they were made by dogs or wild animals passing through the crawl space. But last Thursday, the noises became particularly louder and seemed to be made in response to them walking through the place. They began to suspect that something wasn't right, so they called the police, who found a naked man who appeared to have been living under the house for quite some time. Wow. So,
That's weird.
yeah. Well, squatters are going to squat. And I'm about to sneeze again, so one moment. Anyway, so yeah, that's wild. Having somebody, naked man.
Yeah.
Like,
That's nuts.
Moving on up to UPI or UPI, world's largest iced latte served in 11-foot high cup. Okay, well, I guess that's a tall order.
Oh, boo.
Hold on a second. I had to, and I have to do this too. So. Social media star Nick DiGiovanni teamed up with Dunkin' to break the Guinness World Record for the largest iced latte. DiGiovanni, a chef and social media influencer with multiple Guinness World Records titles, filled an 11-foot high Dunkin' cup with ice, milk, and espresso to take the record. Guinness World Records confirmed the resulting 276-gallon beverage was the world's largest iced latte. The massive latte was then portioned into smaller cups and served to more than 300 employees at Dunkin's corporate office in Massachusetts. Well, David Rush, you know what to do.
Yeah, you got your shot. There's one.
Yep, here's something to get work going on.
Building the cup's going to be the problem.
Yeah. Officials, don't brine your turkey in the Great Salt Lake. Well, I thought that would have gone without saying, but then again, people are so belligerently stupid.
But I'm not quite sure what that means, brine.
Well, you know, like
Turkey brine?
like you know how you marinate, like you leave something in for hours.
Yeah.
Well, they just take their turkey and just put it in the salt lake and let it brine, let the salt get in and absorb, and it's marinate.
Oh, okay. And then pull it out and cook it.
Gross.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
dead fish in that thing, dude. Like bacteria. And look at that. That's what it looks like afterwards. That is.
Wow.
It's covered in feathers.
Wow.
That is so gross. Officials at the Great Salt Lake State Park and Marina in Utah are reminding locals not to brine their Thanksgiving turkeys in the Great Salt Lake after someone's bird washed up on the beach. The park said on social media that a turkey still bearing a faded label from the store washed up on Silver Sands Beach. Officials said the discovery was a teaching moment. Quote, just your annual reminder not to use Great Salt Lake to brine your turkey, end quote, the post said, continuing, quote, not only is the salinity too high for a proper brine, the waves can be very strong and there's a good chance you could lose the entire turkey, as this person did. It ended up washed up on the Silver Sands Beach and someone went turkeyless.
That's gross.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah.
So, moving on up, deer wearing high visibility vests seen wandering through British Columbia town. The residents of a northern British Columbia community are trying to solve the mystery of a local deer seen wandering around wearing a high visibility vest. Well, you know, you ain't gonna miss it, that's for sure.
They have a picture of this thing?
Well, that's something else here. It doesn't look like it. Actually, hold on a second. What is this? Let's just let's take a
wildlife
video
sighting
break
in
here.
northern BC is raising questions over how a deer ended up in a high visibility safety jacket. This deer was easy to spot on the side of the road in McBride, a village about 200 kilometers east of Prince George. A local reporter was driving through town Sunday when she saw this bizarre sight and snapped a couple of photos. Conservation officers are now working to find.
Oh, my mic was not muted. It's not that difficult to find.
Yeah, well.
This reminds me a lot of a Whitest Kids You Know skit when they were talking about putting bulletproof vests on bears, making invincible bears, and everything.
Would they have tranquilized the bear or something, you know?
It was that's a fictitious scenario I'm making up.
Okay, but
No.
then just going back to this.
Tranquilize a deer, probably. I don't think a deer would be willing while you strap clothes on
Right,
it.
that's
I
what
mean,
I'm saying. They had to
Tranquilize it or something.
yeah. Or maybe it was asleep, or they hit it with a truck or something, and they did. Oh, hey, this will be funny, you know. You know how rednecks are. So, anyway, moving on up. U.S. FWS equipment found covered in living blob of jelly. So, living blob of jelly. It's not just some random jelly. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service Midwest Fisheries Center shared photos of a telemetry receiver found covered in a living blob of jelly. The center said on social media that researchers hauled the receiver up to the surface and were surprised to see it covered in this blob of jelly, comprised of thousands of animals. Pectinalia magnifica, also known as the magnificent bryozone, what a name, okay, forms large colonies, sometimes bigger than a basketball. So these are colonies of small. An individual creature called a zooid is smaller than a sesame seed and resembles a tiny horseshoe with tentacles. These zooids live together in dense jelly-like masses where they feed and reproduce. The center concluded that the animals might look strange, maybe even a little gross, but they are a natural part of the underwater ecosystem and pose no danger to people. So for whatever reason, they decided to just congeal onto this device. You know.
Yeah.
Whenever you think is involving blobs, I think of the movie The Blob, and no, it's terrifying. Moving on up, circus performer breaks 2 world records on the aerial hoop. You know, well, here we go, another.
What is the aerial hoop?
A hoop in the air. So, let's.
For the elbow circles, my hamstrings would cramp quite a lot, and of course there was a bit of pain on my biceps. It was also a bit of a mental thing, because 1 minute doesn't seem like a long time, but when you're doing that skill, it is a long time.
Well, congratulations to her. Yeah, an Australian circus performer put her endurance to the test by breaking 2 Guinness World Records with an aerial hoop in a single day. Charlotte Charlie Meath, at the age of 23, took on the record for the most aerial hoop somersaults in 1 minute for a female, and the longest duration shoulder blade hang on aerial hoop at her gym in Geelong, Victoria. So it looks like they were two different things.
Yeah, that's
so,
what it said.
So after doing one, then she did the other. Wow. The endurance on this lady is remarkable. So, moving on up. 132-year-old message in a bottle uncovered at Scottish Lighthouse.
Huh.
An engineer conducting an inspection at a 200-year-old Scottish lighthouse discovered a message in the bottle dating back 132 years. Ross Russell...
1700s.
Hold on a second. I gotta do this math. I don't think we're that back.
32 years?
15,
Yeah,
20,
232 years.
For 132 years. Minus 132. 1892.
Okay. I thought it was 230. That's what I got.
No,
1700.
209-year-old Scottish lighthouse discovered a message in the bottle dating back 132 years. So the lighthouse is 200 years old.
Yeah.
The bottle is 132.
Gotcha. Still 1800s.
Yeah. Well, just at the end of it, but
Yeah.
still. Ross Russell, a Northern Lighthouse Board mechanical engineer, removed some panels in a cupboard at Corswall Lighthouse, located at the northern tip of the Rhines of Galloway, and spotted the bottle hidden inside the wall. Russell and his team used some rope and a broom handle to fish the bottle out of its hiding place and opened it up with current lighthouse keeper Barry Miller. The team said the cork was stuck in place and had to be carefully removed using a drill. Inside was a note dated September 4th, 1892, bearing the names of 3 engineers who had installed a light at the top of the 100-foot tall lighthouse, as well as the names of 3 lighthouse keepers. That's pretty cool.
It is really cool.
So that's not like like in the ocean. They just
didn't float up and they found it.
Yeah, no, like it was built into the wall.
Yeah.
Like kind of like a
the engineers put it in there.
like a time capsule of sorts. That's really cool. Moving on up, serial shoe thief at kindergarten identified as a weasel. Let's just play this here.
今月6日、古賀市の
that's in Asian language. Police set up security cameras in a Japanese school after students' shoes started disappearing, and the culprit was ultimately identified as a furry footwear fan, a weasel. The Gosho Komodo and kindergarten in Koga, Fukuoka Prefecture, contacted police for help after 15 shoes vanished from the school in early November, and 3 more were taken the following day. Well, that's terrifying, because how did it get in there? And what if it was rabid? What if it had bitten a child? You know? Like...
More importantly, where are my shoes?
Yeah. So... police had set up 3 security cameras in the school to catch the culprit in the act. A single shoe vanished during the night of November 11th, and police reviewed the captured footage to identify the perpetrator. The video shows a weasel appearing from behind a wall and raiding the cubby holes where the children store their indoor shoes. The animal spread the shoes across the floor and made off with one item of footwear. Well, let's just watch this here.
と警察に通報がありました。
現場となった保育園の
I wish there was an English translation version of this, but I want to see the footage. I don't care about here we go. So this looks like some footage here. Oh, yep, there it is. A weasel. It is a weasel.
Good look at that.
Just taking the shoes.
Yeah.
Wisconsin 10-year-old calls 911 for help with math homework.
With what?
Math homework.
Oh.
Yeah, well, I mean, math is white supremacy, so, you got to call the police. Oh, I'm being white supremacized. I'm being culturally appropriated. A Wisconsin sheriff's deputy came to the rescue of a 10-year-old who called 911 to ask for help with math homework. The Shawano County Sheriff's Office said on social media that a dispatcher answered a 911 call from a 10-year-old who called to say that he needed help with his math homework. Yada, yada, yada. Sheriff George Lesner said dispatcher Kim Cross explained to the young caller that 911 was not the appropriate number to call for homework help, but she also offered her assistance. No, do your job, hang up, let the kid ask his parents. By being on the phone, what if there's somebody... what if there's somebody who got shot? Now somebody's going to die because some stupid kid wanted to be a stupid kid. No, fire that dispatcher. This is not a heartwarming story. This is stupid. Moving on up. Oarfish keep washing ashore in California. Some say this could be a bad omen. Yeah, no, oarfish. They're usually deep sea. They're very long, as you can tell.
Yeah.
But, see, oarfish usually appear in Japan right before an earthquake or a tsunami.
Oh.
and it's you know it's more than an omen. It's almost a natural early warning sign, and we're overdue for the big one.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah, way overdue.
So, November 6th. Well, I mean, this has been a long time. So if it was going to hit us, it would have hit by now. A researcher on an Encinatas beach spotted an oarfish measuring 9 to 10 feet long. The fish typically swim at depths of 300 to 3,000 feet and are rarely seen on the surface. Yet this was the third time one has appeared in Southern California since August. They have been associated with bad omens, according to some English language accounts of Japanese folklore, though there's disagreements on this. The fish, which can grow up to 30 feet in length and feed on krill, have typically washed up on beaches when injured or disoriented, according to scientists. The current group of oarfish washing ashore may have to do with changes in ocean conditions and increased numbers of oarfish off our coast, according to Ben Frabel, manager of the Scripps Oceanography Marine Vertebrate Collection at University of California, San Diego, said in a statement, quote, many researchers have suggested this as to why deep water fish strand on beaches. Sometimes it may be linked to border shifts, such as broader shifts, such as the El Nino and La Nina cycle, but this is not always the case, end quote, he said, adding that many variables could be the cause. But it's almost a one-to-one, as far as I'm aware. Whenever Japanese, people start seeing oarfish, guaranteed an earthquake comes. Like, it's almost a guarantee. Like, if you look back at history, So, who knows? And last but not least, a man told 911 a bear chased him off a cliff. Weeks later, he was arrested for murder. Yikes.
The bear or him?
Well, I think...
Who was arrested? I'm sorry.
Well, hopefully Winnie the Pooh, finally.
He kind of used a dangling participle there, so they didn't identify.
Well, I really hope Xi Jinping is behind bars. That's where he belongs, if anywhere. In mid-October, a man called police in eastern Tennessee claiming a bear had chased him off a cliff, but authorities arrived on the scene to find the body of a different man, sparking a multi-state manhunt for the caller that ended with his arrest on murder charges that weekend. Authorities said Nicholas Wayne Hamlet, at the age of 45, befriended and lured his victim into a wooded area to take both his life and identity. Hamlet, who was using an alias at the time, has a lengthy criminal history and was already wanted in Alabama for parole violation. After the October incident, another warrant was issued for Hamlet's arrest on first-degree murder charges in Monroe County, Tennessee. State and federal authorities warned that Hamlet, whom they considered dangerous and potentially armed, was known to travel under aliases. They urged Hamlet to turn himself in and asked the public for help. The U.S. Marshals Service offered up to $5,000 for information leading to his arrest. After many weeks of searching and one Halloween night spotting, Hamlet was taken into custody in Columbia, South Carolina on Sunday. So, well, they got him.
Yeah, that's good.
So, yeah. And that shall conclude the show for today. Once again, please check the underbar in the description below for any links that you may be interested in, including but not limited to all things Omni Coalition. For your dose of different on and usual news, aka notable events, weather, and sports, we stream every Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, which is 5 Mountain, 6 Central, and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, respectively. We do have other shows from history to news, movie reactions and reviews, video memes, Omni Kitchen, and everything else in between on Talk Show. Check the underbar. For all of you and all of us, I'm A.O. Xander.
Golden Loon.
And you, viewer, are you. Before we sign out, do we have any comments? Not on YouTube, not on Rumble. Okay, but yeah, you, viewer, are you. Thank you for watching, whether it was live or at some point in the space-time continuum, of views of you. And until you catch us next time, whenever that is, wherever that is, don't forget to look right left at every intersection, rate 5 thumbs, and subscribe. Toodle!